Today, let's have a little chat about why you end up getting so angry and looking like the bad guy when really you aren't the one who started anything. If this has ever happened to you, then you know exactly what I'm talking about and you know just how frustrating it can be. For the best advice on how to recover from divorce, emotional abuse, and betrayal, please be sure to hit like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Also, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, please check out the link in the description below for all of the information on my personal coaching. Okay, I'm Coach Ketra. I help women find empowerment during some of life's most taxing situations. I have survived emotional abuse and betrayal and a divorce after a 17-year marriage, so I totally understand. You don't have to do this alone. Let's do it together. So why do we feel so guilty when an argument happens and we end up escalating and repeating ourselves and getting louder and more argumentative and really reactive to our spouse's behavior? Well, just for starters, let me say, whenever anyone keeps repeating the same thing over and over, typically it's because they are not being heard, they are not being validated, and they are not being understood. And if you are in an emotionally destructive relationship, then you are oftentimes being bombarded with things that aren't on topic. So if you bring something up, the spouse deflects and says, well, you always do X, Y, and Z, and that makes whatever, like it doesn't stay on topic, doesn't sit with the subject that you have brought up and hold it with care and concern. He doesn't sit there and think, I wonder how this really does play. I wonder if I really do have something to look at here. There's no curiosity. So when you bring up something, you just get met with a lot of deflection and blame and criticism. On the flip side of that, even when you don't bring up something, let's say you just state your opinion. You say, no, I don't want to do that this weekend, or you say something that your spouse is not in agreement with. Then all of a sudden, they start bullying you and steamrolling you and pushing you and making you feel guilty and bringing up things from the past and why can't you just do this for me, and you're always wanting to do your own thing, and blame shifting, all kinds of things that aren't necessarily accurate. So in both situations, you aren't being met with another person who's willing to take the time to listen to your perspective, to see you as an individual separate from themselves that has a right to their own thoughts, feelings, or opinions. And let's also remember, most of the time, girls have been conditioned. I mean, and don't get me wrong, boys have too. But girls have been told that nice girls just don't do this or say this or raise their voice or get mad. We've also been conditioned to believe that somehow it's all the wife's responsibility to fix everything in a relationship. Let me just illustrate this with a very well-known example. Okay, way back in the day when Bill Clinton was going through the whole fiasco with Monica Lewinsky, there were so many people that were saying things like, well, if Hillary just took care of him in the bedroom, if she knew how to take care of her husband, then this wouldn't have happened. The truth is, nothing you do or don't do is to blame for your spouse's behavior. They will choose to live in integrity and be honest and accept you as your own individual human being and not someone who's made to just meet their needs, or they won't. A lot of times guys get really mixed up in the head about the role of the wife, and they create this entitlement mentality. You are just there to serve them and do what they want and go along with their ideas, and you're not allowed to have your own personal thoughts, opinions, or feelings. This creates a dynamic of them objectifying you and not seeing you as a human being, really. So, how does this reactive, angry dynamic even happen? It really all goes back to triggers. Our internal triggers are the emotions that we have attached to memories that trigger these feelings inside of us. So, the fact is that your husband may be getting triggered in his relationship with you out of the fear of connection because of his own neglect or his own shutting down of his own feelings when he was a kid. And so anytime you disagree with him, or anytime you state your own opinion, it triggers something in him that says, I have to shut this down right now. I have to stop it. I need to get her in line. So that trigger is not your responsibility. It is not your fault that they are willingly being sucked back into this childhood thing. Or maybe not willingly, depending on the situation. And the same thing with you. They have done this to you so many times where they have created chaos, deflected the topic, not stuck with an issue, not been able to sit in a safe space with your feelings, thoughts, or concerns. So many times it's been manipulated and just absolute crazy making has taken place. And you might even be at the point where you're like, I don't even want to bring up anything to him anymore because it doesn't go anywhere. Nothing gets solved. He makes a huge deal out of tiny, small things, and I'm just over it. I don't want to go there. And you might even hesitate to tell him no or disagree with him because you don't want to get the wrath of being bulldozed and bullied, and you just go, ugh, whatever, fine, we'll do it. But over time, being conditioned by that kind of crazy making behavior creates triggers inside yourself. Now you have emotions and feelings attached to his past behavior. And let's not forget you have your own childhood behavior that those things might be attached to. So you're feeling rejected. Well, the first time you ever felt rejected might have been when your parents got divorced and your dad moved away, or might have been in school when kids didn't accept you. So we all have these. It's totally normal that we have them. It's the way we react to them that matters. And there's this sense of injustice when you're dealing with someone that is emotionally abusive, because they will not stay on target, they will not stay on topic, and they start changing the subject, and you just end up feeling crazy by the time the end of the conversation happens, and it usually doesn't end well. And those behaviors over and over create triggers in you of, oh, here we go again. And it also creates this sense of righteous injustice, like a little kid standing in line for school and someone cuts in front of them. You know, kids are very clear about right and wrong. And so that part of us that says, this is wrong, this is not okay, you're breaking the rules, you're not listening to me, you're not respecting me. And so we get more and more enraged over the absolute injustice of it all. And sort of our primitive mind goes to a place of just really wanting to prove ourselves right. And maybe he'll get it if we escalate. But there's usually not that much conscious thought that goes into it. It's just this righteous indignation. Something is wrong, this isn't okay, and we escalate and we get really angry. So what do? This is where it's important to understand that the change really needs to start inside of us. We need to be able to calm our nervous system and our fight or flight response to the point that we have control over ourselves and we're able to maintain a level of calmness. Because almost all interactions with an emotionally destructive spouse that aren't a just flat out yes to whatever they want will become a crazy making cycle. So you've got to stop the cycle and you've got to step out of the crazy making. And you need to be able to understand how to self-regulate yourself, rewire your brain so that you can look at a situation from a calm perspective that is outside of yourself, realizing that the pain that you feel from the comments, they really aren't personal. Even if they say personal things that they know will hurt you, they're all about the other person's pain. And when we can realize that, we can understand that we don't have to create this justice that we so desire. We really want justice. But the fact is, we need to be able to maintain a calm presence inside of ourselves so that we don't get sucked into it. Because a lot of times, their goal is to create the crazy making. We don't want to feed into a chemical addiction that gets released every time some big argument happens. And they may be doing that without even knowing. You could explain all the details of that to them, and it still wouldn't make a difference if they have not done the work to reach a level of calm inside themselves. And that's why you need to start inside yourself too. It might sound confusing, but there are several steps you can take. Meditation is a great place to start to calm yourself. But But you really want to also be able to rewire your thought patterns and release those triggers and past trauma so that you can operate during the regular day in your regular life from a state of calm, peaceful, just collected being. Taking ownership over your inner self and doing that work will benefit you in every area of your life. That is one of my main focuses in my coaching and in my program. You have to start on the inside so that you can be strong enough and have clarity enough to be able to address anything on the outside. So I just want to reassure you that you are not in the wrong here. If he sits back at the end of an argument and says, look how crazy you are, and you want to tell me I have a problem, you want to stop the process of even getting there. And you're not going to do it with willpower. You're going to do it by retraining your subconscious mind. For now, just know you are not in the wrong, but you also don't have to take the bait. Again, if you'd like to work with me, please check out my link in the description. Also, hit like, subscribe, and make a comment below to let me know what topics would you like me to cover in the future, or what are you dealing with right now that you need some clarity with. And until next time, curate a life by your own design.